Sup, Nibbles? J-Dawg back for another interview. Look at this. We got 2 of them, goddammit. We knocked out the GB, and all you pussy boys in the comments were like, don't fuck him. Who cares about GB? Get Steve, goddammit. Steve's the man. Some people are saying Steve's the man. So having said that, Steve being the goddamn man, Steve's kind of an old man now.
Hey.
And having said that, dude, I mean, being a blasting goddamn drummer, dude. I mean, I asked Glenn, but I've asked this to other people, this off conversation, like, how long are you going to be able to keep doing it for? Because it's impressive that you can still do that type of intense music blasting at your age still to date. And I've been impressed every time live up to date, and I'm at every goddamn show like when you guys come through. So you doing it in your 60s? Gonna pull Lemmy style to the day you die?
I'll try till the day I die. I'll certainly try. And I've been blasting. You know, I recently quit drinking because it was getting a little carried away.
Recently, like last week or
earlier, like around the beginning of the year.
Okay.
You know, it wasn't a New Year's resolution or anything, but just decided, you know. It cleared up a lot of residual health problems.
Maybe inflammation and shit like that.
A lot of different crazy things I won't get into, but
okay.
It across the board, it took a while, but I noticed like breathing improvement,
okay,
heart health improvement. Sometimes at practice, you know, I get going after a bender, you know, kick it up, and I feel like I'm having a heart attack. You know, that wasn't good. And yeah, sometimes my asthma was real bad. Yeah. And after about 2 months of drinking, I noticed all that shit improved. So I'm stronger than I've been in, you know, 10 or 15 years heart-wise. Lungs, that cleared up a lot. A lot of other things cleared up. So just dropping that out helped a lot with, I think.
Any arthritis in the wrist?
I was going to ask, any arthritis, wrists, joints, ankles?
No, not really. You know, I've had issues with tendinosis, so I was getting injured a lot working out. So I had to drop that routine, which is a fucking bummer. But it was that, or, you know, do I want to work out or do I want to play drums? So I stuck with the drums, you know, for obvious reasons, you know, but you got to do what you got to do. So I'm kind of curtailing my other activities to, you know, to keep playing.
Yeah. Now, it's going back to the first record, there's not very many blast beats on it. You know, you got Dead by Dawn. It's got some sprinkled in there. Was that because, like, you look at the first Cannibal, first Malevolent Creation, a lot of the album, the first, you know, 90, 91, the bands on the first records weren't blasting. They kind of didn't start blasting their second record. Obviously, you can't speak for others, but was it just because you're becoming a better drummer, or was it because everybody's kind of competing with each other as far as speed and intensity? Because it seemed like they all started throwing in blast beats. I suppose, you know, even like you listen to Demolition Hammer is kind of like a death thrash band, so I guess they wouldn't count. But the death metal bands, Malevolence, Cannibals, etc., like Eating Back to Life, there's really no blast beats on it. It's more of a thrash beat. First Deicide, same. Other than its parts sprinkled in here. Was that just because you couldn't blast that time? Is that because it just wasn't, the genre was so new and that wasn't a thing, other than kind of like Altars of Madness was doing it? What was the reason that you guys didn't start blasting really until, you know, the second, third record?
Well, those are all good reasons, and they hold a little water, you know. It was early on, like when we were writing the first record, it was 87, 86. There wasn't a whole lot of blasting going on. It was more like death thrash. Yeah. So that style was inherent in the earlier records. And then once 90 and 91 hit and we're preparing to do Legion, there's more blasting there because it was definitely more prevalent in the music and in the scene. So, and skill-wise, was getting better at it, so it's time to implement it more, you know. So it was kind of the two things coming together and converging and making that what it was at the time, you know. But definitely pushing, the bands pushing each other skill-wise and technique-wise, you know, it all comes into play, man. And
so you would say there to
define the era, you know. You
would say there kind of was an unsaid, unwritten kind of competition between you all.
Sure.
So you would say that did exist?
Sure.
Okay.
There always is. It's friendly, of course.
Yeah.
I mean,
but try out to set the bar to the highest.
Sure. Absolutely.
Now, when you see
push each other, you know.
Yeah. Now, when you see they came up a little bit after you, especially with their demo and stuff, but it was, I think the first demo was like 92, but first album was like, depends what you would consider Unmerciful Order or Black Force, but like mid 90s. You had a band like Christian coming up who they're on tour with you. What is your take on Max, the drummer? I mean,
yeah, he's insane. Like he pushed the blasting so fast and so like the durations, and it was just incredible to watch. And again, it was inspiring for me to kick my ass into gear and kick it up again. You know, every time I turn around, there's someone pushing it farther, which is causing me to try and keep up, just to stay in the same realm of what's going on. You know, when you first start out and you're doing it, no one really else is. It's unique. But then when everyone else is, and you have to, now you're playing catch up. You know?
Now I know you didn't mark your calendar, but roughly, like, would you say, what did you first hear Christian?
Right before we toured with them, and that was 94, 95.
Oh, that early.
I
Okay,
think it was for the Cross tour. We came and we did a U.S. run. They came up for it.
And so, yeah, that was your first, like, when you first heard it, what did you think?
When I first heard it, it was kind of mind-blowing, but when you could first see them doing it, you know, that was awesome. Because I could sit behind the stack and watch Max from behind and watch him crushing it, and you know, it was just...
So when you were watching that and they're opening up for you, were you watching and be like, holy shit, this guy's blowing me away?
I was like, it's time to kick up my blast and, you know, kick up the intensity a little bit.
Yeah.
Sure.
Is there any others that kind of come along that you were definitely, like, maybe inspired by, but at least very impressed by? Like other later drummers, like would have been, you know, who's that? Tony from Angel Corpse, God Dethroned. Do you remember his last name, Eric? Tony.
Last name. He had the curly black hair.
Curly black hair.
Oh, when Inferno came along, that was impressive. And yeah, every once in a while, there's just an exceptional drummer that stands out and makes you take notice, you know, because, I mean, the talent commands it, you know.
Yeah.
So, you know, like I said, there's plenty. And now there's just hundreds of blasting drummers that are insane quality. John Longstreth, he was another touring with Origin, was amazing watching him play. He set the bar high again with just his techniques, incredible. And like I said, there's a lot of other drummers that are just amazing in their own right, just because of their techniques and just the style. And
now those bands like that, like the Christians, the Origins, the Angel Corpses, the Niles, the God Dethroned, stuff like that, whether you like the drummer or not, are those bands, like, to you musically to date? I'm sure you're buddies with most of them. Do you actually like those bands? Like, that's something you would listen to on your own time, and you're like, not so much, I'm just putting on Rush?
Well, I don't put on Rush. I mean, I like Rush, but I was never a big Rush head, you know. And the other guys, like I said, we tour with them a lot, and I get my fill over the course of a month. And when I go home to listen to stuff, I do kind of listen to stuff I listened to growing up, you know, just because that's what I enjoy, you know. I certainly enjoy brutal death metal. Like I said, I'm getting my ears full of it now on the road with these guys. And that's the cool thing about touring like this, is you get to kind of experience new bands instead of just hearing them, you know. You get to meet them, hear them, watch them. And, you know, some are better than others, clearly, but they're all really good. They wouldn't be out here if they weren't, you know.
Yeah. No, I mean, who were some of the bands you growing up, outside classic rock and stuff like that, who were some of the metal bands you growing up that you said, you know, those are what I listened to that I like? I mean, I've heard Glenn's before, and, you know, I've never actually heard your take. Like, what was it, the Possessed, Merciful Fates, Venoms?
I liked Dark Angel a lot.
Okay.
Hoagland was always amazing. Like Slayer, obviously, early Metallica, early Slayer, and then Dark Angel hit, and I was like, wow, he just next leveled this whole fucking thing. Gene. After that, it was like the era of the Super Blasters. But early on, it was that kind of early dark black thrash that was kind of creeping into the death metal era, and say just those classic guys that were really pushing it. It's a huge Dark Angel fan.
So like Darkness Ascends, is that a record from time to time you'll still put on to date? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. All of it. Leave Scars.
Yeah.
And the first one, Gene was on. We played a bunch of those songs in a cover band when we were learning our chops. You know?
Oh, you're talking about back in the 80s?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, man. It's only so many things to get influenced by before you kind of copy them, you know, because it kind of depends when you hit, because first they're influences, and then you're kind of amongst your peers, and then you're kind of playing catch up. So you try not to be influenced too much by people who come after you, you know, and try and keep that in the before category. But then again, like I say, you also have to stay current, and you have to stay with the modern level of talent that's out there, you know, just like you say, with the competitive spirit of it all. you got to stay in the running of relevancy. You know, so
Yeah. I never actually, I've always wondered, because you and Glenn only being the two original members, you know, the guitar players and stuff, you having switched over the years, Glenn writes all the lyrics. So what is kind of like your take on religion, Christianity? You're just kind of like, I don't care. And it's Glenn, it's funny. Or do you kind of like have a hate for Christianity as well? Or like, what is your take? I mean, I can't imagine you going to church on Sundays, but.
No, I don't go to church and I don't do any of that. I don't follow religious things. I think it's all kind of nonsensical. So I'm fully behind our message and all that. I'm all for it.
When Glenn burned the cross in his forehead, what was your reaction?
It's like, wow, interesting. This will be a fun year.
Were you kind of like, oh, this should help our stock?
It's like, this will be, yeah, it was like, we got something really going here.
But when he did it and he shows up to practice, when you seen it, you just like,
oh, good idea. Let me
yeah,
try it.
yeah, were you kind of like, you okay, buddy? Or do you like, this is awesome?
Nah, we was just right on course.
Right on course?
Yeah. I was not surprised or shocked. I was like, okay, I see where this is going.
Now, when the albums come out, like let's say, you know, Serpent on Light, which you guys dick me every time now, you don't play anything live off it, which is my favorite album.
Oh, is it really?
Thanks for that. But like when stuff like that, which I love the lyrics and all of them, when, you know, Glenn writes them and you kind of see them, do you find any of them kind of comical? Like even like off Incinerate them, Bible Basher, that's another song. I don't know why the fuck you guys don't play it live. It's like a hit. It's like catchy. It's sing along. It's fucking awesome. And it's a classic at this point. I took Glenn's lyrics serious and it inspired me, especially as a kid. But at the same time, I found it funny. Did you kind of like get chuckles out of it too? Or are you like.
He's comical, you know, in his approach, and he has some zingers in there, you know, here and there. I like the one line about Christianity's killed more people than cancer.
Yeah, that's a Slay of the Cross.
Yeah.
Reign of the Cross, the aggressor, has killed more people than cancer.
It's a great line.
Totally. Another great line, too, is Christ is a scheme and will ruin your life.
Yeah,
there's lines all at the fucking ass.
Yeah, I mean, they're taglines. They're the kind of, you know, could be catchphrases or whatever anywhere along the line. And it's, you know, a mark of a good lyricist who can just tagline the shit out of your own lyrics. They're not too, like I said, they're talking about Dark Angel, so elaborate in their phrasing and just word usage. It's just a word frenzy, you know, and that's one approach. They cram as many words into a sentence as possible, syllable wise, and, you know, make it a puzzle. And then there's just kind of going, you know, flow, you know, kind of like the death style, where it's just simple syllables and phrasings to kind of glaze over the music.
Did you like the death out, like Scream Bloody Gore and stuff when it came out? Okay,
for sure. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Death has put out in a lot of incredible work. It's too bad they're not here anymore.
Yeah.
Obviously, there's plenty of Death cover bands floating around out there, and that's good. Keep it alive.
Yeah, I kind of knew better not to ask Glenn, because probably like, who gives a fuck, man? What do you got? But I've asked others is what do you consider the first death metal album then? Not demo, nothing. What we could say is the first. This is a death metal album, in your opinion. I've asked this to several.
Yeah,
other
you
guys.
know, like I said, there was Scream Bloody Gore. Certainly, there was Seven Churches.
Mm-hmm.
There was Terrorizer. There was Super Blasty in '89, and the Morbid, and Obituary was '89. I also remember the first really blasty album I had was. I can't remember the name of the band. They were like a punk hardcore band from '86 even. I can't remember the name.
Not talking about Repulsion.
No.
Do you like Repulsion? Did you like the Repulsion Horrified record?
They were all right, you know.
All right, that's the greats.
Didn't hear it early enough.
Oh, you heard that later? Than
Yeah.
the wow.
Yeah.
Okay, you're late to the game.
A little bit on that one, though.
Yeah.
Still can't remember the name of that band. It'll come to me like 2 hours from now.
Not Napalm Death.
No.
Did you hear that stuff later too, like Scum and shit by Napalm Death? Like,
yeah, I'd heard Napalm in around '89, and they were obviously very heavy and crazy, but I always thought they were also a little sloppy.
Okay.
So that's one thing that turned me off about these heavier bands, is when they were just too sloppy to be, I don't know, like taken seriously from a drummer tightness standpoint. You know, like everything was just so loose. It was like I never wanted to play that loosely and like sound that sloppy.
What about Carcass? What did you think of them?
Carcass too,
Same
heavy,
thing?
good approach, and I thought, yeah, they were sloppy.
Mhm.
The drummer was Ken, right? But I know he had some health problems or
Well,
something. That
way
was
later
due
on.
to it or whatever.
I don't think that was resorting the problem at the
You
time.
never know.
Yeah,
Anyway,
poor guy.
but like I said, it's still heavy, and like once you listen to it enough, you kind of, I don't know, get used to it. Or
Digest it.
yeah.
Yeah.
But hey, people are pushing, you know, when you're pushing the limits of a new genre that early on, you know, everyone is still kind of finding themselves. You know, that's kind of apparent on that one. Still brutal record, you know. That was, I can't remember the name of the second album. The
70s of Sickness?
Yes.
Yeah.
Fucking brutal.
Yeah. So you said you watched my videos, or at least you peeked in.
Yeah.
Says he does. Did you see my...
What's up, devils?
Did you see the one, not where I reviewed the new Deicide song, Bury the Cross, but I reviewed all the, when I did the new album, but I ranked every album in a row.
I think I saw the album ranking video. It was a while back, though.
Okay, because if you didn't, I asked Glenn this question. I didn't get a solid answer. See if you get one from you. I ranked my favorite record to least favorite record. Every single album, because I own every single album. Not going to ask, well, I guess if you want to put your favorite in there, but that's what you piece out. What is your least favorite record that you personally like, that's the one I like the least if someone held a gun to your head?
You know, probably the In Torment and Hell one.
Okay.
Just because it was, you know, the circumstances and the mood of everyone. And the record itself was just done very quickly and at a low budget. So it was not one of our height moments, you know, in our discography or whatever.
Well, from what I remember at the time, I guess you could correct this if it's wrong or not. From what I heard, I don't remember if I read it in an interview or if it was just passed down to the grapevine me hearing, is that both Incinerate Them and In Torment and Hell, which they're not my favorites, but I do like those records. I like Incinerate Them more than In Torment, but nonetheless, both of those were kind of getting criticized heavily when they came out. And word on the street was that you guys just whipped those albums together to get off Roadrunner because you wanted off your contract. Is that any truth to that?
Well, yeah, there's some truth to it. I mean, we're looking for greener pastures, you know, and Roadrunner, for whatever reason, had us under this long contract, but didn't want to invest in us anymore. It's like, well, why not just drop us, you know? But they were hanging on to us on this leash, and like I said, new metal was in, Slipknot was their big new band, or Typo, whatever. They didn't give a shit about us for many years at that point. So drop us, you know, but they wouldn't. So yes, we're forced to work our way out of this thing, you know? And so, like I say, the budgets are getting smaller. Incinerate Them was 15 grand. Torment and Hell was 5 grand. I was talking about this a couple weeks ago. It's like, what do you expect for 5 grand in that day and age? We're talking 99, whatever that was, right? There's not a whole lot you could do. That's what they gave us. That's
even on those albums that you guys even put a band photo on those. Like in the booklet, there's not even like you guys legitimately.
Like I said, those guys did not even like each other enough to be in the same room. There were no photos going to happen. And
I'm surprised you continued on. Well, Scars came out and that was a hit. They were still on that for that. You know, how did you guys manage to like kiss and make up for that record then?
Well, because it was the first record away from Roadrunner, so we had this sense of freedom, and Earache was enthusiastic about signing us and offered us money and a good budget to do a record with. So it was like, okay, we're back in business with a label who gives a shit enough to actually back us. So, you know, we had some backing, and so it was, you know, inspiring. So got together to do it.
Do you have a favorite then of the catalog? Not what sold the best or that you personally, because it seems like you guys as a whole, maybe you just took it from fans. You're like, oh, this is what fans want to hear. Majority of the set you play off of one record is Cross.
Yeah.
So is that your guys' favorite, or is that just like, that seems to be you just do it because you think the crowd wants to hear that? Or
people react strongly to those songs, you know. They're catchy and they sound good playing them. We have been, like I say, you like Serpents, we've been slowly dropping songs from the set just to kind of save them for when we're going to drop a lot of the Cross songs out and focus on Serpents. And we're probably going to wait for, you know, the anniversary of it. 2027's coming up or whatever, not too far off. So we're going to bring a bunch of Serpent stuff back in around that time. And like I say, people just love the Cross songs.
Yeah.
And they're easy to play, and everyone sounds good when we play them, and the reaction speaks for itself. You know, people love them.
Do you like, because Serpents, that was the first one I heard as a kid. I think it was the new album. It would have been the newest album at the time. So maybe I'm a little bit biased, and I was super young when I heard it. But in my comments on my videos, when some people love it and some people don't like it, the ones that say they don't like it, they're like the songs are good, but the guitars sound thin. I never thought about, again, maybe I'm super biased. I heard, what is your take on the guitar sound? I mean, I know you don't want to talk about the guys, but the actual sound of the guitars, I liked them. Did you guys, even at the time, you're like, oh, they sound thin, or like, these sound great, or what did you?
Yeah, we agree that they sounded thin because we had just come off of Cross, and it had a big, thick production that was kind of in the hands of Scott Burns. We agreed Scott was going to get them a guitar tone. They were going to go with it. And then when Serpent's come out, Scott kind of came out of retirement to help us with that record, and he was trying to get them a good guitar tone again, but they didn't like it. They wanted to get their own tone, and the Hoffmans, I mean.
Yeah.
And so they were trying to dial in a tone, and they were just, pretty persistent about what they wanted to hear. Scott, was at a point where he was like, you know what, do whatever the fuck you want. If that's the tone you want to go with, go ahead. And it was an issue.
Yeah.
I agree they sound thin. I mean, they may not sound terrible, but they definitely sound different from what we were sounding like 2 years before. And it wasn't a progression. It was like a regression, Like I said, when you're young, you're not really into tone and things like that. You don't really know what you're listening for from a technical perspective, like from a person who does sound for a living. So even though the guitarists are like, what is with your guys' tone? Like, universally, the Legion tone, because that's the one that kind of did another weird sounding record, I have always thought.
Well, it seemed like for years, and I thought I read in a zine, because there was years went by, you guys didn't play anything off Legion except like Dead But Dreaming or maybe Trifiction. I was always one or the other. Like, man, I was like, I don't understand why they don't play like Behead the Prophet or Satan Spawn. Never did. But what I always heard, it's in the back of my mind, I knew for years, it's like, I heard you guys never liked that record. Like, universally, the band, like, we don't like the album Legion. Is that true or not?
No, the album was good and people liked it. It was just the Hoffmans had trouble playing it live. And they would always come up with some excuse of why they couldn't. It was always someone else's fault. It was always the amp's fault. So whenever we tried playing those songs, it was a train wreck. So it took for this long of time to pass to get some competent players in who could actually, for one thing, listen to the riffs and hear what is going on. Secondly, get a tone to represent the record and play it correctly. And third is present it, then get a band tight with that material again. And it took about 6 months of going through the material, which is, I don't know, a pretty good amount of time. But considering that it was 20 whatever years before that went by where we didn't fuck with it at all,
yeah,
to getting it tightened up in that amount of time, it was kind of like all those excuses of why it wasn't getting played before were just a jerk-off section, because I don't know if people thought it was our fault, but clearly it wasn't, because we're pulling that shit off now, and people are digging it, saying it sounds good. So, kind of proof is right there.
Yeah.
On where the problem lied,
So another thing, true or untrue, I heard Once Upon the Cross, there's a second recording for that album. It was recorded, and maybe it was the label, or somebody said to you, we can't use this, it's too fast, it sounds like a grindcore record. Is that
well,
true?
It wasn't quite like that, but we did, when we did the first run of Once Upon the Cross, and it was only like 25 minutes. And so we're like, well, we don't have any more tunes. Let's do another run of it a little bit slower. And we got it up to 28 or 29 minutes, whatever it is, just by slowing it down a little bit.
Now, do you guys have that recording mix?
No.
No? I was going to say, that'd be kind of cool to put out as a bonus disc or something on a digipack.
Well, I think because of our budget, we just re-recorded over the same 2-inch tape that we had.
Killing me.
Well, I don't know if anyone made a dub of it or cassette. I don't have it, or maybe I do. Like I said, I went through a box of cassettes I had, and I didn't find it.
Now, do you have? I was asking Glenn that too, and he said he has stuff like of any of the albums, whether it been Serpents, Legion. I'm not talking about like the first two demos, the 87, 88, but I mean like demo record, incinerate them. Do you have like demo rehearsal tapes with vocals, everything of any of the other albums?
No, vocals always waited to go on in the studio, the final version. The demos were kind of just for bringing the song structures and the music together.
So nothing like that exists?
Nothing like that exists. Real no demos with vocals. Really.
Okay. I was going to say, 'cause that stuff, I mean, that's like a gold mine, in my opinion.
It'd be like a gold mine, yeah. Yeah. But, you know, like I said, with plenty of demos. I got hundreds of demos, but
Yeah.
they're all just of the songs in various stages of
Yeah.
completion or different versions of them somehow, you know, different parts or arrangements or something.
Yeah.
Which is interesting also.
What is your agreeance or middle finger to the people? Got to ask that because everybody heard Glenn's take is for the new album cover. The people hating on it. Did you love it, hate it, hate go fuck yourself, Minions?
I mean, it's an album cover done by an artist, done by a technique that is modern. It's like, what do you want from me? This is how people work. People want to be offended. Artists, you know, I get it. You know, people like canvas and paints and brushes or drawings or whatever. You know, that's fine. People do digital art too.
Yeah.
You know, it's 2025. Or what year is it? 2024?
You may as well be 25.
Might as well be. It's getting there. So I don't know, the art thing, I mean, it is what it is. Artists do what they do, and we do what we do. You know, people want to be mad. It wouldn't be the first time.
Yeah, no, of course, for sure. So, is there anything you wanted to throw in there, Eric?
I mean, I can elaborate on that one, but it's
I mean,
just my opinion.
did I leave anything else out that I should fucking be asking? Anything obvious?
Nothing obvious.
Nothing obvious? Was there anything you want to say, Steve? Like, well, yeah, well, that's kind of what.
I kind of want to ask him the question I asked Glenn a little bit too. It's just like, so there's definitely a period in the beginning that everyone kind of was at their hardest time in life, you know, trying to deal with personal life versus band. Like, did you find that actually fueled what you needed to do to, you know, play aggressive and stuff like that? Versus, like, you know, life's getting a little bit easier now. It's like kind of losing a little bit of that fire. Like, you got to find a new source in a way. Cause it's like,
There's plenty of fire out there to stoke your anger.
What gets you round up nowadays? What gets your goat?
Just,
What gets that Asheim goat?
you know, just,
Yeah, grind your gears, makes your dick itch, pisses you off, however you want to word it, chaps your ass.
redundancy and you know, staleness and indecision and
no road rage then.
fucking I'm a pretty mellow driver, you know, but you know, there's just a lot of bullshit floating around out there. It's easy to spot, and try not to get mad at it because it's kind of pointless, you know. It just makes me shake my head and go, what the fuck, you know, what next?
Yeah.
I mean, I was kind of, because I know Glenn's talked about how he likes the Pro Tools and he's got the whole thing going now. We can play around with everything. Like, do you like that we have all these options now, technology-wise, to make music versus, like, you know, being at the beginning where you had to really kind of do everything the pain in the ass way?
No, you know, I don't really bother with that stuff. Like, I kind of worked with a home studio a little bit, but nothing too elaborate. It's like that kind of work is way too tedious for me. You know, I want to just write the songs, record them, and move on. You know, I don't want to be fucking around at a studio desk for 6 hours, fucking with a tone or whatever it is they do, you know. So just go to the studio, a professional studio with someone who knows how to run it, let them do their thing. I'll do my thing.
So you ever had that moment where you're like, fuck, I wish I had these options years ago, type of thing?
It's all the same to me. I'll go in and play. You know, it's been the same then as now. Whatever it is they're doing is fine, and I don't worry about that part. That's their job.
Oh, I mean, you know, it's a long road. Sometimes you're just like that. You know.
But if you had to pick, like, for example, let's say like 1990 to 99, say that time frame of recording music and just doing the band as a business as a whole, everything, touring, recording, everything, as opposed to, let's say, 2015 to today, that time frame. Which, if you could pick, it could have stated it's all the same. Like, everybody has the equal opportunity for the tools. Like, nobody has an advantage over the other. Which would you prefer, 90s or 2015 today? I'm talking everything, touring, everything, like the way shit's sold.
The struggle of trying to produce art, and sometimes, you know.
Well, not just that, because he's seen all the sides. Because a lot of these guys, you know, you got newer bands coming up. Hey, we started in 2016. They don't know. Like, you've seen all generations. Well, that's 3 goddamn generations.
Yeah, I mean, you know, like I said, it kind of seems the same. It's like I mean, for me anyway, it's like we got to write our songs, we got to come up with the artwork, we got to go record it or have it produced, and then we got to hit the road. I mean, it's kind of, that part of it is timeless. I haven't really noticed a difference. Like, I noticed, like, weed is legal in a lot more places. That's awesome. So I definitely like it now for that reason.
Okay.
know, everyone's way more cool about shit that they were way more anal about back then. So
what's something you guys? So you're on a tour. This is your second day on the tour. What's something you go play a show? You're doing one after another. Bang, 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 bang. What is something you go to a show that will absolutely piss you off if it's not accommodated? And that's something that does happen on occasion. Like maybe there's no water for the band, which I'm sure there is, but something like that. Like, what is something that you're just like, come on, dude, this is some bullshit.
the toilets are fucking disgusting.
So they got to have squeaky clean Johns?
Hey, not squeaky clean, but you know, not a fucking, not a.
A fucking pig's trough.
We do it to ourselves
Thank you.
too. Everyone just goes in there, just louses it up, throws the beer cans in there. It's like, dude,
Covered
you
in
know that
piss.
this
No
is
one
thing.
cleaned it clearly. It's like, you know, it's just fucking disgusting.
I heard you got fucking, I don't know how much you can say or not say. I heard you got butt fucked on your bus. Not literally, but
I
figuratively.
didn't get butt fucked on my bus.
No,
The band got screwed out of the bus thing, you know. Maybe there's the butt fuck bus that roams up and down.
they're the ones that stole the bus.
Anyway, but yeah, so, you know, again, business. And,
That's got to be slightly irritating.
it's totally very
Glenn did
irritating.
say that.
But what are you going to
That's
do? I
about
mean, these are,
customs.
Oh, yeah, Glenn did say that. He says you're the most famous for customs.
yeah.
Well, so I've heard you have some customs problems.
You know, I've kept my nose clean.
They don't like those Deicide albums?
They don't like me.
I figured Glenn got all this shit with the cross, the fucking, you know what I mean?
They love him. He goes right through.
Yeah.
They always pull me aside for a secondary screening or whatever. It's the airport or a drive-through border or whatever, or a pat down or whatever.
I was just saying, like, so there are certain areas where they look you up in a way, so that they get a profile, like, okay, and just give you a hard time.
Well, they did. I had some trouble in 06 and in 95 and in 2010 and a couple times.
But never
like
to
I
the
said,
point where you couldn't get in?
no. Hell, we got stopped at the Canadian border with weed, and they still let us in.
Oh, okay.
That's Canada, though.
Did they at least take the weed? Or they're just like, go on in, boys?
I think they made us dump it out, but then you know, first exit, make a left.
Have fun. Make sure you play some songs off Serpents.
Right. Yeah, man, that's their stipulation.
All right. Well, for future shit, I mean, I'll make this last. Other than that 2027 Serpents in entirety set list coming up, which I'm pumped about already.
Yeah. Here.
What else can we? Is there anything we can expect? I mean, Glenn mentioned a Legion live album. That should be awesome.
Yeah, we had a bunch of the shows taped from Legion tour, and a lot of them sound pretty good, I guess. So maybe there's something they could do there.
Mm-hmm.
We're already kind of kicking around demos for a new record already. So we're trying to get ahead of the curve on that one. So
Well,
it's
demo-
not
so you-
7 years until the next one or
So
whatever.
you already have songs written, some brand new songs.
Sure.
Oh, okay.
Sure. So just keep on trucking, man.
Make hay while the sun's out.
Those
huh?
those demos have vocals on them.
No.
Oh, fuck, man. Slap some vocals on there, and goddamn,
That's what I
dog
always
wants a
say.
tape.
Like I said, what he'd do is I demo up the songs and hand them over, and then he agrees he likes them or not and wants to work with them, and then he can sit on them to write lyrics too. But he doesn't track them, or at least he didn't. He might start now. He's kind of got some studio gear, but he would usually just write it and then see you in the studio, and he'd do it there. That's the first time any of us would really hear it come to life, you know, with the vocals on it.
Okay.
But you know, it's worked for now, and kind of leaves us all in suspense.
New demo, Legion Live, Serpents 2027, entire album. Future's looking pretty good.
It's looking all right.
All right, Steve, unless you got anything to add, subtract, or...
Only subtract.
Yeah.
Hey, it's good to meet you, brother.
Thanks, man.
I appreciate your videos. They're funny. And I love your spirit. You love metal. And thank you. Goodbye, devils.
Later.